All right, good evening. We are live. All right, give me a minute. I'll just check the audio quality because I'm not sure if the audio setting is best today. If there's any audio discrepancy or a video discrepancy from my end, kindly let me know in the chat. In the chat. All right, good evening. We are live. All right, give me a minute. The audio feels fine, so we can continue with our session. All right, welcome everybody to the odd sentence out and sentence eliminations second class. This class will be focused on the practice of the topic that was done in the last session, which was sentence elimination and its introduction. We had done basic theory and we had practiced. Sorry. Yes, we had done certain theory and we had practiced some questions, mostly questions based on four statements, right? Four statements were given and you had to find an odd sentence out in the four statements. Today's practice will be focused on five statements. You can definitely get five statements to unjumble, but the options that you will get, which is like A, B, C, and D, will only be four. So out of that, one option or one statement will be eliminated by them. So your options will be something like this: one, two, three, or five, right? So they will eliminate one, but five statements can be given to you. So we'll be practicing that. But before, let us quickly summarize what was done in the last class and the basic theory and approach to a question like this. Odd sentence out or odd sentence elimination is similar to parajumbles. It's just the next step of parajumbles. Here, you have to unjumble the paragraph, yes, but after unjumbling, you also have to find the odd sentence out, the one that does not fit, okay, or as you can say, it is least thematically relevant or least thematically compatible. A sentence that is least compatible will be your odd one out. Okay, your odd one out is not going to be a very obvious one. It is going to be connected to the theme, but it is going to be least connected as compared to the other three or four statements. So, how does one approach it? First step would be to finding the main theme by obviously reading all the sentences and then aiming to find the opening sentence. How does one find opening sentence? Please go watch my parajumble lecture. Next, find the one connection which gives you a reason to single out a misfit. So that one connection will be determined by finding the commonality between most of the statements. Okay. The once you find the opening statement and you understand the theme, commonality easily mil jayega. Then, once you find the commonality, the odd sentence out is not going to follow that commonality. How? Okay, certain conjunctions are going to oppose the same commonality. So it is going to contradict that and going to give you something new. You can be given also, and then again, you will be given something new. So this is how odd sentence is found. Okay, it will be least thematically compatible. And then last, put the rest of the paragraph together by eliminating the misfit. Okay, only if asked. You can be asked this step where you have to also lock in the unjumbled paragraph. So you can be given a combination of those where you have to eliminate the odd one out and lock in the parajumble. So if asked, you have to do the step as well. So it's better that we start with our homework question that was given at the end of the last session. Given that if there are some new people also here, so it's better to give 5 minutes to solve the question and then we can do it together. I will mention the timestamp right here so you can stick to it and put your answers in the chat before this timestamp. Okay, ideally, you should be reading all the statements first. So, all the statements will be read in whatever the order, as you can see right in front of you. So, the statement A says, in laughing along, the target of the joke shows that he's a good sport, thereby completing the ritual. B. Ridicule can actually reinforce a group when the target is confident of their in group status. C. By laughing together at each other and at themselves, the rest of the group shows their membership. D. Laughing at someone is among the strongest markers of social exclusion in human connection. Well, if I aim to find the opening sentence is obviously going to be B, as it's a little more general and introduces the topic. What topic? Ridicule can actually reinforce a group when the target is confident of their in-group status. Okay, then by laughing together and at each other and at themselves, the rest of the group shows their membership. Then in laughing along, the target of the so B and A are also a pair, and so are C. So they're sort of thematically relevant in the theme that it's talking about how laughing together can actually help the group, how it can reinforce the group. Okay, it can join the group, make the group better. In laughing along, the target of the joke shows that he's a good sport, thereby completing the ritual. The ritual, consa ritual, the ritual of showing membership, the ritual of having a strong in-group status. So the entire first three sentences are talking about how laughing at each other in a group is good. Now look at D. D says laughing at someone is among the strongest markers of social exclusion. The other three sentences were talking about how it's a great marker for social inclusion, whereas this is talking about social exclusion in human connection, which is obviously directly opposite to the given statements. So this is definitely not a very difficult question. It's a very easy question where you don't even have to think about it. All right, a direct contrast to the given three sentences. So the odd one out here is statement D. Okay, it's very similar to the level of difficulty of questions we had done in the last session. So in this session, let us increase the level of difficulty. In this session, we will be doing 5 statements and they will be a mix of CAT level and PYQs. Okay, most of these have been sourced from two IIMs, which is known to make good questions. So you can definitely rely on these questions for a great practice. For example, this is the first question. Follow a similar approach, a similar way to solve the question, and kindly aim to solve it in 5 minutes. Okay. Ideally, any parajumble or para completion or any verbal ability question should not take you more than 6 or 7 minutes max. All right. A question like this, ideally, because I'm aware of the level of difficulty of the question, should not take more than 5 minutes. So that's exactly the time I had given and I had assigned you for the question. So a question like this should be solved under 5 minutes. So how should we solve a question like this and with accuracy and quickly? Let's check the approach. First, obviously, we'll read all the statements. The banning of northern lights could be considered a precursor to censoring books for moral worldview or religious reasons. Attempts to ban books are attempts to silence authors who have summoned immense courage in telling their stories. Now, the banning and challenging of the books in US has escalated to an unprecedented level. The widely acclaimed fantasy novel Northern Lights was banned in some parts of the US and was the second most challenged book in the US. Fifth, the American Library Association documented an unparalleled number of reported book challenges in 2022, about 2,500 unique titles. Okay. I can just tell by reading all of the sentences that it's talking about banning of books, specifically banning of books in the US. So I need to find an opening sentence. After reading all the sentences, the most generalized sentence without a pronoun or a specific noun or a specific keyword is sentence 3. Okay, 3 is my opener. Now, the banning and challenging of books in the US has escalated to an unprecedented level. How? How? The following lines should explain the same. Okay. The next one possibly would be some company in US, so it should give you an evidence that how and why it has increased. Fifth is doing exactly that. Okay, the American Library Association documented a big number of banning of books. So the next sentence should be fifth one. So 3 and 5 should be the chronology. Then the widely acclaimed fantasy novel Northern Lights, and then again there's Northern Lights discussion. So out of the 4 and 1 sentences, the best sentence that comes is statement 4 as it introduces the book Northern Lights, and then it should be 1, okay, as it explains Northern Lights. So these are the pairs that we have made 3, 5, and 4, 1. Okay, Northern Lights was banned in some parts of the US and was the second most challenged book. The banning of Northern Lights could be considered a precursor to censoring books for moral worldview or religious reason. Statement 2. Attempts to ban on books are attempts to silence authors who have summoned immense courage in telling their stories. So this is definitely a general statement. Could precede my example, right? This could come before the example or it could come right after here, right? So it can even come after this. But contextually or thematically, statement 2 is actually least relevant as compared to all the other statements because here it's talking about how or the consequences of banning of the book. All the ones are talking about how and why the books are being banned and a specific example discussed, which is Northern Lights. But this one is giving me a completely different reason, a completely different consequence, a potential consequence of silencing author through banning books. So although it is thematically part of the entire paragraph, it is least compatible out of the all. Okay, so because 3 and 5 are a pair, 4 and 1 are a pair, okay, and they're thematically linked to each other, whereas 2 is not thematically linked to any of the given sentences. So the answer for this is statement 2. 2 is the odd one out of the all given statements. Okay. Similarly, I want you to try another one, sticking to the time limit of only 5 minutes. Hi Rajneesh, good evening. You're asking regarding the regular classes. So, as per my information, LRDI syllabus is over, although practice is required. So, Aditya sir was thinking of making videos instead of live sessions where he's recording one LRDI set, okay, and then he's posting the video on a specific time every week. He's aiming for 100 LRDI sets before the exam. Similarly, I am almost done with my verbal ability syllabus. Okay, this is the last topic, and this is the practice session of the last topic. I will have one more session tomorrow. We will practice. It will be an interactive session of again a mixed practice of all verbal ability question. Although what remains now is a lot of practice for RCs, even more verbal ability question. So I was aiming for again doing a good number of RCs, ideally 100 RCs before the exam. So instead of having those live, I will aim to record them and post those videos, and then you can watch them at your ease because the basics have already been done. All that is required now is practice. Regarding quants, I am not sure what the status is. I will let you know how that is going to go about in tomorrow's lecture. But tomorrow will be the last live verbal session, and LRDI sessions, I don't think you will have any more live sessions for them. Okay, Rajesh, I'm actually not sure about those topics because it's a completely different faculty. What I can do is definitely convey the same to the respective faculty and then update you on this exact topic tomorrow's session. Okay, I will ask what their plan is regarding. I know because there's a very limited number of sessions that have happened. So it's impossible for the syllabus to be completely over specifically for LRDI and quants. I understand, but I'm just conveying what they had mentioned me their aim was for the remaining sessions. If they are going to have any more sessions in the future, I will let you know in the tomorrow's session, or we will post it in the community section of YouTube. Okay. I'm aware the syllabus is not over, but don't worry, the syllabus will be covered on this channel itself. Don't worry about that. I'm aware, Rajneesh. I know that is not enough. 19 sessions are not enough to cover all the topics of LRDI. I am aware. Okay. And despite them, you still need more sessions of practice. So I will again ask them to convey their personal plan to me or themselves. But the syllabus will be over. Don't worry about that. What do you guys think about my verbal plan though? Okay, because I think we have practiced and we've finished the basic theory part of all the topics. So I think what is really required is a lot of practice, specifically RC. और आरसी में भी हर एक अलग अलग टाइप, ठीक है, तो हर एक डिसिप्लिन आता है, हर एक अलग अलग टॉपिक आता है, लाइक फिलोसफी, साइकोलॉजी, लिटरेचर, पॉलिटिक्स, इकोनॉमिक्स. आई एम थिंकिंग ऑफ डूइंग एटलीस्ट 100 आरसीज before the exam in November based on different topics where we will discuss approach strategies for every type of RC. But the videos will probably be pre-recorded. But I'm aiming to obviously show all the slides. I'll show you the slides, I'll show you the questions, so you can obviously pause the video, solve it, and then resume my video. So it will sort of be like a solved video solution. But you will obviously first solve it yourself and then resume the video. So I think even yes, so that is what I was thinking, Rashneesh. My RCs should would be targeting the previous year RCs, right? But I was hoping to do only one RC per video. So then you can watch them like a series, right? And the RCs will obviously increase in the level of difficulty and they will be from the past year slots. So just if we do 100 videos, considering all the slots, right? 12 RCs total each year, you can easily finish like over 5 years of RCs, right? 12, 5, 60, like easily over 5 years of RCs you can finish just with my series of videos. So yeah, that is what I was thinking. Cool, let's come back to the question. Can you guys put in your answers if you have solved? Okay, otherwise we'll solve it together. This is also a very easy question and should have been easily finished under 5 minutes, in under 5 minutes. Okay, if you just quickly glance through all of these sentences. Okay, in English, there is no systematic rule for naming of the numbers. After 10, we have 11, 12, and then teens. Even more confusingly, some English words invert the numbers they refer to. The word 14 puts the 4 first, even though it appears last. Okay. It can take children a while to learn all these words and understand that 14 is different from 40. For multiples of 10, English speakers switch to a different pattern. Okay, here 20, 30, 40, and so on. If you didn't know the word for 11, you would be unable to just guess it. You might come up with something like 1T. So this is again a very simple question. Okay, just by having a glance through all of the sentences, the most common theme that I can find is that it's talking about the nomenclature. Okay, how the numbers are named. Okay, the etymology, the nomenclature of numbering and naming the numbers, right? In English, we are naming numbers like this. So the opener is definitely statement one because here it's focusing the language. कौन सी language में ये nomenclature चलता है और कैसे चलता है. ठीक है, and then the other sentences are obviously going to follow it. There's only one sentence that is not focusing on how a number is named, but how it is difficult to learn the difference between words, right? It is not focusing on the nomenclature or etymology, but again, the consequence of this nomenclature. What happens after this nomenclature? What happens due to this nomenclature, which is statement two. Even more confusingly, some words invert the numbers they refer to. So, oh, I'm so sorry. It is not two, it is three. I had misread the statement. It is three. It is only three that is talking about how it is hard to learn to retain a number and how it is hard to tell the difference between the two. So the answer for this should be statement three. Okay, let us try one more. Again, ideally, target it to be finished under 5 minutes. Okay, I have a lot of chat. Sagar is asking when will the registration for the CAT exam start? Okay, the exam is in November, the last Sunday of November, or last Sunday of November, or first Sunday. I think it's the last Sunday. Regardless, it's in November, and then your registrations start from August, and then they end in September. So there's a whole month left for the registrations to start. Yes, last Sunday of November will be your CAT exam. So it is, I think, let me check my calendar. I think it's a 30th of November. Yes, it's 30th of November. So your date of exam for CAT is 30th of November 2025. Yes, Rashnish, I will convey the same regarding the cons and LRDI status of lectures. They will update on what it is that they are planning to do with the remaining topics. All right, now let us discuss the given topic. Let us discuss the given question. देखने में काफी intimidating लग रहा है, but it is not very intimidating. It's a very simple question. A question that looks intimidating is just made to look intimidating. It's not intimidating at all. Okay, again, if you just quickly go through all of the sentences, they're quite lengthy, so I'm assuming that you've gone through them, and so have I. So if you go through all of them, it's talking about business school and courses. Right now, specifically what business school? That's where the answer lies. Okay, what business schools is the topic of the paragraph. Okay, as you can see, one, they often include a foundation course on navigating capitalism with Chinese characteristics and replace typical cases from US corporates with a focus on how Western theories applies to China's buzzing local firms. Similarly, for fourth, as you can see, for students, a big draw is the chance to rub shoulders with captains of China's private sector. So obviously, all of these courses, see, their business courses now largely cater to the growing demand from China Inc., which has become more global, richer, and ready to recruit from the Sinoc-centric student body. So the entire thing is focusing on China and China's business courses. Right now, I need an intro sentence for this. The intro sentence out of the two is obviously going to be statement two. The best Chinese business schools look like their Western rivals but are now growing distinct in terms of what they teach and the career boost they offer. Right? Opener because it's general and it's introducing. Okay, this is done. Then, statement three, Western schools have enhanced their offerings with double degrees popular with domestic and overseas students alike, and boosted the prestige of their Chinese partners. ठीक है. Statement 3 is focuses on what Western schools have done regarding their curriculum, regarding their syllabus, okay, and how it is and where is it popular. Whereas all the remaining statements are telling you how China's business courses are different from Western business school courses, and how are they different. Okay, so 2 will be an opener. Then 5, as you can see, their business courses, there being the Chinese business school courses, now largely cater to the growing demand of China Inc. Then they often include. Now, what do these courses include should be after the courses are introduced, which is in fifth. So one should be the follow-up. They often include a foundation course on navigating capitalism with Chinese characteristics and have replaced. Okay, so one should be like the follower, and then the concluder would be 4. For students, a big draw is the chance to rub shoulders with captains of China's private sector. Okay, this concludes why does the Western theories have been changed or applied to China's buzzing local firms. Okay, this follows up directly in the idea discussed in statement 4. Now, statement 3 is clearly a sore point here, fits nowhere because it's talking about the what the Western schools are offering. So this can come before or this can come after too, right? But again, it is least thematically compatible out of the all of the given sentences. So the odd one out in these statements is statement 5. Okay, let us try one penultimate question before ending the session. Okay, please take 5 minutes to solve. Okay, let's now approach the question. A particularly interesting example of inference occurs in many single panel comics. A particularly interesting example of inference, implied meaning. It's the creator's participation and imagination that makes a single panel comic so engaging and so rewarding. Often, the humor requires you to imagine what happened in the instant immediately before or immediately after the panel you're being shown. To get the joke, you actually have to figure out what some of these missing panels must be. It is as though the cartoonist devised a series of panels to tell the stories and has chosen to show you only one and typically not even the funniest. So as I can see, there's a established chronology of the last two sentences where five should come first and then should four. Because to get the joke, you have to figure out what the missing panels must be. Missing panels are right here, right? Then often the humor requires you to imagine what happened in the instant immediately before or immediately after the panel you're being shown. Then it's the creator's participation and imagination. And A is first as the introduction. So first would come A as an introduction. And third one focuses on often the humor requires you to imagine what happened in the instant immediately before. So this is also building upon what happens in or during the missing panels, right? So this should come after. Now look at statement two. It's the creator's participation and imagination that makes the single panic comic so engaging and so rewarding. This could come at last, but still, all of these sentences are related to how inference makes the comics funny and who makes the inference? Us, the readers, right? We make the inference ना हम infer करते हैं कि क्या मतलब है right that's what the whole joke is कि देखो समझ आया जिसको समझ आया ना सिर्फ वही हंसेगा that's what makes a comic funny right that's what inference is so that is what 1543 are related to okay how a comic is made funny through inferences through making or taking out certain panels right and the consequence of that. Statement 2 tells you not about readers. It shifts the focus from readers to the creator and focuses on how it is made. Okay, and that is different or thematically least compatible to all the given sentences. So the odd sentence out in all of these sentences was statement 2. Let us try one last question before ending this session. Okay, quite a wordy one. Okay, looks massive, but it isn't very difficult. Although, given that I have an upper hand because I have done a lot of these questions, so assuming that this could ideally take a couple of more minutes in the CAT exam, but it shouldn't take more than 7 minutes. So that is exactly what time that I will be giving you is 7 minutes, right? Let us see if you can solve the question within 7 minutes. All right, let's come back to the question and solve it together. A passage like this looks really wordy, and a common misconception that students have is because it's wordy, it's difficult. But please remember, wordy does not mean difficult. Okay? Don't judge a book by its cover. Similarly, don't judge a question by how it looks, right? So the question basically is quite wordy, but has a common recurrent theme. Okay, for example, let us see statement one. The statement one says the first two episodes of ESPN's 10-part Michael Jordan docu-series gave us a traveling cocaine circus. Then, statement two, after some negotiating, Phil Jackson agreed to let him spend 48 hours in Vegas. Statement three, but the third and fourth installments of the show didn't miss a beat. Statement four, we all love a good rivalry, and Sunday's batch of episodes didn't disappoint there. Last, but it also focused on conflicts within the team, like Jordan's hesitance to embrace Jackson's philosophy after working with Doug Williams and questions over Rodman, a former Piston, would fit in on the Bulls. Right now, all of these sentences are talking about the docu-series and what is happening in the docu-series and the conflicts in the docu-series. As you can see, 4 and 5 is a pair that is building upon a rivalry that happened in a conflict that happened in the docu-series. Similarly, third is also talking about what happens in the docu-series. So is one, but there's only one simple statement that is not talking or is not relevant to the docu-series, to the shows at all. Okay, there's only one statement that is not focused on what is happening in that, nothing. Okay, and that is statement two. Has nothing to do with docu-series, has nothing to do with the main plot of the docu-series, right? It is completely odd one out, and it's not even discussing the show. All of the sentences are discussing the show. Has the show or docu-series in its sentence, whereas only statement two has nothing like this. So the statement two is odd one out. Okay, fifth one also does not have the fifth does not have the noun docu-series, but it has the pronoun for the docu-series, right? It focused on. It kya hai? It is obviously your show. The show focused on the conflict between the team. So even fifth is talking about the docu-series. Whereas only statement three is not talking about, sorry, statement two is not talking or not mentioning docu-series, right? So I think as compared to all the questions that we had done previously today, this was actually the easiest question to spot or easiest question to solve. Okay, the easiest one was this definitely personally for me because I could see a recurrent word, a recurrent keyword here, whereas there was only one statement where the keyword was absent. So, as per that, the only odd one out should be statement 2. And the answer for this is actually statement 2. Right. So in these cases, the only few cases or only few reasons that you can lose your marks is overthinking. So make sure you don't overthink a certain question. That is a real problem for a lot of students trying to overthink and trying to overanalyze a question where the answer is right in front of you. The problem of overthinking can be easily solved by gaining confidence, and confidence comes with a lot of practice. So, guys, please practice a lot of questions. Tomorrow's session will be focused exactly on that. So, where we will be having a mixed practice of verbal ability questions. So, please don't forget to tune in tomorrow's lecture. That's it for today's lecture. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining in.